live on Facebook, so I trust this setup.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Good day.
Yes, exactly. Hello, whoever's tuning in live on Facebook or replay, you can comment so we can see. I am so thrilled to connect with you and to have you as a guest, and to be the first to come in in this setup. So thank you for bearing with me, my computer crashing and me figuring out whole settings. Just deep belly breathing and adjust to whatever comes. It's all good. So quick intro to who doesn't know you. So we met, first of all, we met at the course, and kind of we didn't do it at the same time, but we connected through that a little bit before and so on. So and we've been following each other's development, right, for a while now, and offerings. And so Berenice, you are French certified in yoga instructor, a therapist, specialized in eating disorders, and you're an emotional eating coach. That's right. And so you've struggled yourself with a decade of eating disorders. You shared it with me, and you found that healing primarily on the yoga mat. So that really helped you go through. You're passionate about helping other women. We share that so much in common, and and through the healing journey and through this emotional eating, overeating, binge eating, holistic, with a holistic, compassionate approach. So you're now based in Panama, right?
That's right.
You moved from France to Panama, and you enjoy nature walks and any kinds of foods, dark chocolates, and especially dark chocolates. Okay. Reading good books and puppies. So thank you so much, for joining again. And I'm curious because is there anything else you wanted to add right away?
No, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure.
It's such a pleasure. Because I'm very curious about your coaching. I've not experienced eating disorders in that way, I think, except that when I was a teenager, I wanted more shape because I'm so, flat, breast flat, everything it used to be, even more so. And I wanted more shape. So I would eat double and hoping that it would go into all the right places, which obviously was not the case. And I ended up with stretch marks. So that's the only time in my life that I experienced anything to do with food that I can consider, was kind of a disorder or just a bad choice. Maybe it's not a disorder, but definitely linked to psychology, linked to my action. There was something there, and it was just something not wired very healthily, very mindfully, right? So tell me about it. Who does it concern primarily? Who's who are you talking to? Who sees themselves in this having an eating disorder?
Well, today we're going to talk primarily about binge eating, overeating, and emotional eating. So, well, the ladies who are watching and who know they are doing this, they will recognize themselves. But more clearly, it's about eating. Emotional eating is about eating when you feel certain emotions, mostly sadness, being depressed, angry, whatever, and reaching out to food to soothe yourself. Mm-hmm. And this is fine. I mean, we're human beings. Many of us do it, men, women, kids, others. But the issue becomes an issue when you start doing this all the time. And when whatever happens in your life, you're coping with food. So you end up eating all the time, snacking, eating too much. And you feel it because, of course, it affects your body. You start to gain weight. Emotionally, you feel low self-esteem, low self-confidence. You start to feel that you're like a failure, you're not good at dieting, or you don't have any willpower. And mentally, it starts to crippling into this mindset that you have no power over food and you have no control over food. And that's when it starts to be really an issue, when you feel that you cannot do anything, you're powerless over food.
So it's this feeling, it's like an addiction.
Yeah.
It can be like an addiction.
It is, yeah. And more severely, it can transform into an eating disorder. And people struggling with eating disorders, and myself, that's what we say, like, it's hard to stop an eating disorder compared to other addictions, because, well, I'm not saying it's easier for a drug addict, but when you're using substance as a drug, you can stop using the substance, but for food, you have to eat to live, right? Yeah. So it's really healing this relationship with food, how you eat, your body, the root cause of the issue and all of that. And that's what I help women with in my program.
And what was your how did you cope with your disorder? I mean, you said it was it took you many years through eating.
Yeah. It started when I was a teenager. You see, like, common points. It's often when we are teenagers, especially as women, our body are transforming and we get shapes and we don't understand what happens, the hormones changing and all of that. So it's very vulnerable time of our life. And in my case, it started with a diet, and I was great the way I was, I was like I am today. However, in my mind, something switched on. I watched a documentary talking about how obese people can lose weight by eating a certain number of calories and not going over it. And in my mind, it just sparkled. It was like, wow, maybe I can get thinner. And if I get thinner, maybe I will have more attention from the boys, and maybe I will look cuter. And what was going on also at that time, and this is something that I did not, realize until going through therapy and healing, is that at that time, my mom with my brother and sister went to live away somewhere else with my mom's new boyfriend. And I couldn't live with them because it was too far from my school. So I stayed at home by the week by myself, and I was 16. And that's the first time I was by myself. So now looking, like back, I think I used the dieting to numb the feeling of separation, which was the first time I was separated from my family, and the feeling of abandonment and of not being enough, not being loved, and all of that. So yeah, it started like this. And long story short, unfortunately, this diet turns into extreme, and I quickly fell into anorexia.
Okay.
And what happened is that when I couldn't starve myself and restrict as much, my body would just rebel, and want to eat. And that's when I would just overeat and go through bulimia phases. So basically what happened was a cycle of dieting, restriction, extreme restriction, anorexia, and then not being able to do it anymore, and then overeating, bulimia, and so on. And then after bulimia, dieting again, and blah, blah, blah. And that went on for many, many, many years. Yeah, so that's the path.
Yeah. And you say the effect, obviously, it's on the body and on what the way it looks, but the way it feels, the way it functions, it's just very, struggling, and the effect on the psychology, like for never being enough, never doing it right. And that lowers the self-esteem, lowers self-confidence, and from there the energy just drops to affect anything else in life, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, and the women I work with, it's often, of course, this intrinsic feeling of not being enough, and that they have to do more, they have to try dieting harder, and they have to have more control, like this feeling that they have to do something, because they are wrong. Of course, low self-esteem, lack of self-confidence, as you said, and a lot of people pleasing also, and lack of self-love, and so many other things. So it's mostly the same characteristics for each woman.
It is. and then this dependence, like dependence on this food, or because if you're saying overeating, binge eating, so you're dependent on a certain amount or certain kinds of food. How do you stop? How do you stop to get to? How do you change, or you go through phases like you're gonna eat, more cheese or more chocolate or more chips or more whatever? Or do you usually stick to? Is there usually stick to your favorites, or what is it?
Well, when you're in that stage of being stuck in the food obsession and eating emotionally, often you have your favorite food, and it's not the salad, the veggies, and you're indulging on the food you're restricting from, that you're preventing yourself from having. So often it's high fats and high carbs food, and that's okay, because that's the thing I share with women working with me. Like, the first rule, even though I don't like the word rule, is to stop dieting and to stop this restriction and overindulging cycle. Yeah.
So overindulging cycle, you need to stop it, but not with a classic, what we call diet, right?
Yeah.
What's your take on diets?
Diets don't work. So for anyone listening right now, and if there's one thing you need to take away from today, it's diets don't work, and stop dieting. Diets don't work. 2/3 of the people who've been on the diet will put on the weight again, and even more weight. Diets are not sustainable on the long term because they're often restrictive, certain types of food or calories. And at one point, your body will rebel, So unless you're on a diet all your life, which is so frustrating, depressing, and boring, you will not, hold on to it. And diets mess up mentally, because it can lead to eating behaviors that are a bit awkward, like the calorie counting and the shame and guilt after eating or when you're eating, not wanting to eat with other people anymore, avoiding social situations with food, going to the restaurant. So diets are not fun, and it's possible to reach your perfect, healthy, happy weight without dieting, eating anything you want. And don't get me wrong, I'm not telling you like, oh yeah, you should eat cheese and chocolate all day long and you're going to get your perfect weight. Like, no, it doesn't work like this. But first, it's to reconnect to your body and to tune in your body and to learn to listen to the signals, to the message it sends you, and to also learn how to fulfill and satisfy your hunger, and your cravings sometimes.
Yeah.
So dieting don't work. It doesn't work, and there's another solution. Yeah.
Amazing. So you mentioned something when we were chatting. You said only 2% of women, or was it men or population, or was it women?
Women, yeah.
Don't love their bodies.
It's the other way around. Only 2% of women.
Or only 2% love their bodies, of course. Yes.
Yeah, only 2% love their bodies. So it means that 19% of women don't like their bodies. They're not satisfied with it. Yeah.
Okay. That's gonna impact everything, because your body is your vessel. So going out, especially you living in Panama, lighter clothes, swimwear. If you don't like your body, you're gonna want to hide it, right?
Yeah, and it's really, I've had so many clients telling me like, I don't go to the swimming pool anymore with my kids, even though they love it and they beg me to go. And I ask why, because I don't want to be seen in a swimsuit. I look like this and this. And I've been in that space, of hating myself and having this so negative self inner talk. And sometimes I like to do the mirror exercise and to ask them, like, would you say that to your kid? And they're like, of course not. And like, so, and that's the dialogue you're having with yourself. And women especially, we tend to be so harsh on ourselves. to
Yeah.
put so much pressure on ourselves. And when it comes to the body, I've heard everything.
Yeah. Really, the way we talk to ourselves. I was one. Yeah, I realized that when I was going through some things changes. I read today on Instagram. I'm just going to read it. It was a post on somewhere. I don't know whose account it was. It said food is the most abused anxiety drug. Fasting is the most forgotten cure. Exercise is the most underused antidepressant.
Mm,
So, okay, I don't know about the fasting. I know we haven't really spoken about that intermittent fasting and so on. I have an Ayurvedic coach. He swears by that, but basically uses it at night. He says at night, you're basically sleeping anyway, so eat
yeah.
early, then that's your intermittent fasting. And you said that you found your healing path or great comfort and support on your yoga mat.
Mm. Yeah, my healing journey was very rocky, messy, and not perfect at all. And it was not only emotional eating, it was much severe than that. And I always wanted to recover. So I started dieting when I was 16 years old. And then when I was 19, I tried to see therapists and dietitians, and they were not specialized in eating disorders and they didn't get what I tell them. So I lost hope, I was just like, okay, it's going to be my life. And back then, there was not Instagram and all of that. And there was not this positivity healing message to people out there. And I often ended up on blog posts about people with eating disorders or emotional eating or binging saying, oh, you cannot recover from that. You're going to have it all your life. It's so hard, so negative. Oh. And I was just desperate and I felt miserable. Yeah. And I was like, so that's going to be my life. And the best I could do was just to, overeat, binge. And I also purged. Sorry for the not glamorous details here, but that's what I was doing, every weekend after a long, stressful, busy week of work. And I was like, well, that's going to be like this. But what happened is that I sort of had a wake up call. I turned 25 and it got better, but still sometimes I would have sleeps and so on. So the roller coaster. And I turned 25, and 1 month after my birthday, I woke up in the middle of the night and I just cried, and that never happens. When I sleep, I'm like a rock, you cannot wake me up. And I cried and I was just like, I can't do this, I can't sleep this way forever. And I prayed. And trust me, I had no belief in nothing at that time. I was very skeptical and no, there's no God. And, and I just prayed and I was like, please help me. I need help now. Like I was just begging. And that's the really weird thing that I don't tell everyone, but well, anyways, that's my story. I heard the voice telling me, if you tell me what you want, I will help you. And I was just like, I just want to get better and overcome these eating disorders and obsession with food. So I woke up the following day and I thought it was a dream, I was still like, oh, what happened? But I saw the tissues by my bed. So I definitely woke up and cried and this happened. So that planted the seed, and I'm not going to keep it too long, but it was many years of trying new things and stopping the destructive behaviors. So I stopped over exercising. I was running every day. That's when I discovered yoga. I switched from running to yoga. Okay. And the maybe third yoga class, I just cried. I was in child's pose and I just cried. I had momentums, huge healing on the yoga mat, thanks to the compassion from teachers and mindful movement, which helped me tremendously to reconnect to my body in a healthy way, which has never happened with any other activity. Then I discovered meditation and support groups, and I went to India, and then it just, like step by step, it just happened. And this desire and purpose to help women once I would get better, that was always in my heart. So yeah.
You say it just happened. It did not just happen. It's you taking action and trying out lots of different things, because when you do the same thing, you get the same result, and you are trying different things. definitely, from
Yeah.
the awareness to immense action and never giving up, right? That's just happened.
Yeah, like, oh, no, sure. Thank you
Yeah. So
for
what
the
would
insight.
for any listeners who, or somebody tuning in here who sees themselves in some way or another in this having eating disorders, what would be your 3 top tips for to stop this emotional dilemma?
Yeah, emotional eating or binge eating or overeating, whatever the food issue is. First, stop dieting. I beg you to stop dieting. And if you need help, like there are people qualified who can help you. And you mentioned an Ayurvedic practitioner. My business partner in my program is also an Ayurvedic practitioner, because Ayurveda believes that each of us have a body constitution that is unique. And the Ayurvedic practitioner basically tells you what's working for your body and what's not, what's going to give you energy and what's not, what's going to help your digestion, all of that. So Ayurveda helped me, and I'm helping my clients with that. So stop dieting. There are other better solutions. The second one will be to, if you're like in the mindset of over exercising and always pushing yourself, going to the gym and doing the high intensity trainings, cardio, running, whatever, slow down. If you can stop. But once I stopped the over exercising, I lost weight. And that's the thing that people sometimes don't get. We're in a society where we're told like, oh, you need to do your 10,000 steps a day and you need to do that and that. But eating too little, over exercising, it's putting stress on your body, and stress on your body is cortisol, and it leads to weight gain. So no dieting, decrease the exercise, switch to something gentle and mindful, like your wonderful yin yoga or mindful exercise.
Oh, mindful practice.
And the third one would be to, I wrote it down, address the root cause of the issue, because basically your behavior with food is not the problem, it's just the symptom. It's like the band-aid over the wound. Definitely. And the wound needs to be addressed, and often it's childhood trauma, it's a lot of trauma, a lot of inner child healing and all of that. So yeah, absolutely. And if I can add a bonus tip, is to be extremely kind and gentle with yourself and patient, because if you are not your best cheerleader on this journey, no one will be for you. So sometimes you need support, but be kind to yourself. You are worthy of a happy, healthy body, whatever it means for you, and you are worthy of a great life.
Yeah. Change the way we talk to yourself, right? Yeah.
Step by step.
Step by step. And that journey, it's it's tough, but it's wonderful too, because it's full of new new adventure, new sensations, new challenges, but turning challenges into chances, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of wisdom in healing, and you learn so much about yourself from this journey. It's very precious.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Berenice, for your time, for sharing, and for sharing your story and your tips and I'm so excited for your program to come out very soon, and I'm sure that we'll be crossing paths again and finding courses to elevate whoever struggles with it in different fields in this journey. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Abby.
I wish you a lovely day.
Bye.